What's happening, people? Welcome to another edition of Politicked on the Got What You Need network. Be sure to support the other podcasts on this great network. The Encourage and Inspire podcast, Ian Friends, Life and Love, as well as the Blackmail podcast. All right. Today, man, we got a few things to talk about, man. I want to talk about the bail reform in New York. You know, we'll get to that. I also want to talk about Hunter Biden. They think there's some charges going to be coming down the lane very soon in regards to that. I also want to talk about something that I don't think enough people are talking about. This DNC and RNC hack. At the same time that the DNC was hacked and those emails were exposed, the RNC was attacked as well. And I got a theory on what was done with the information that was found in those particular hacks. And this next thing ain't really got nothing to do with politics, man, but just life. Definitely want to talk about Kanye. I wasn't, like after he wore the shirt, it really didn't move the needle for me. I really wasn't either way about that. But then he recently said some things in regards to Jews, and I'm just curious at like what is his thing, and I want to know when is enough. I ain't talking about like this cancel culture. I don't think you could cancel a billionaire anyway that don't count on networks. When people look at when Nick Cannon made what were deemed anti-Semitic remarks, he's on TV. He needs those networks. I don't think Kanye has that same kind of reliance on the the traditional powers that be. When it comes to, I guess, getting his word out, they gonna follow that crazy motherfucker anyway. All right, we got excuse me, early voting going on in some key battleground states. In Pennsylvania, it's now until November 7th. In Ohio, it's now until November 7th again. Georgia, you get the middle finger. Remember, they shortened their early voting period to only be the weekend right before Election Day. That way they could kind of concentrate their suppression and intimidation efforts, and they don't have to spread them out, a whole month like these other states do. Wisconsin, which is November through November, now through November 7th. But in Wisconsin, what's different than a lot of states is they actually have same day registration and then you can vote. So you can actually register on Election Day and vote in the state of Wisconsin. I know that for a fact. I worked up there and then I researched it again, and that law is still intact. So even for a state like, Wisconsin that really try to suppress the votes in Milwaukee and the surrounding areas or whatever, it's still pretty easy, to be part of the process, man. So in PA, of course, we're looking at Fetterman, the Democrat, versus Oz, the Republican. What is in Ohio is J.D. Vance against this guy from Ohio. He's currently a U.S. representative, and now he's trying to go to the Senate. So that race is up in the air right now in Ohio. Tim Ryan, that's his name. Sorry for the delay. Tim Ryan is the opponent. They actually had a recent debate where he looked really good. So we're going to see. He's trying to play that middle of the road, moderate Democrat. And if that's who he is, that's who he is. And of course, we got Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock down in Georgia, and we have Ron Johnson and Mandela Barnes in Wisconsin. So those listening, if you got family and friends in those areas, please forward this information to them, and make sure that they out there and they're voting. All right, let's go to this Hunter Biden thing, man. And the only reason that I'm talking about it was because so many people made a big deal about it. A lot of my more conservative friends just constantly bring this man up. And I'm sitting there like, what do you want me to say? Like, I don't think, okay, let me get this right. I don't think Hunter Biden's a good guy, all right? I don't know where his heart is. I don't know him personally. I don't follow him. But just a few decisions that he has made in life just make me question, like, is this actually a good dude? Like, I'm almost sure, like, he was in a relationship with, like, his deceased brother's, widow. Crazy to me. I just, for life, don't understand that. And then, right, your dad was looking to run for president again, right? So why would you even do business with, like, a country like Ukraine? Like, even if everything you did was above the board, the optics of it is just going to be crazy, So, for conservatives to constantly bring Hunter Biden up as if, like, anybody, on the left is going to, like, be a staunch defender of him is just hilarious to me. Now, let's get to these charges. All right, I'm going to tell you the scenario, right? I get home from work, kiss the wife, we get to chit-chatting. She usually has it on ABC World News. Was it David Muir? Good dude, I like him. So the Hunter Biden story breaks, and it's like, the U.S. attorney in Delaware investigating investigators in Delaware, they are hinting that they might have enough evidence to charge him. I actually said, good. Let's get this over with, and we can move on. Like, I'm tired of hearing about this dude's name. Then they read off what he's actually charged with, and I'm like, look, if he committed a crime or whatever, let's go ahead and do this or whatever, but they are charging him with tax crimes and a false statement related to a gun purchase. Now, the second one is funny to me, especially since in any other case, conservatives pretty much, like, anyone should be able to have a gun. Everybody should have a gun. Let's just give guns to everybody. So that's just funny that, like, that's what y'all hooting and hollering about. And, tax crimes. But we do have another very high-profile case. Letitia James is prosecuting in regards to a lot more money. And that's being framed as political, a witch hunt. They just trying to make Trump look bad so he don't run again, so on and so forth. But with Hunter Biden and a lot less money, we're going to make this, the biggest thing. And we don't know why, it's not a bigger deal is being made of it. It's just his father, and their corrupt DOJ, so on and so on. So we'll see how this Hunter Biden thing, plays out. But look, I don't like the dude, but I'm not like, ooh, wow, what'd he do? Or like, I just think that announcement was a dud, and it was done for political purposes. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't be charged, but if he's going to be charged, then charge him. Let's get this on and over with, and let's move on and stop like just trying to use it as, a way to keep something over President Biden's head. All right. I was talking about this New York. All right. Us living so close to New York, obviously that's the main metro area, so we get their news and, all that. And just the crime and the type of crime that's going on in the city is very, very alarming. And I usually don't do this, if you were tougher on this wouldn't happen or whatever, and I'm not going to do it now. But what I am going to do is talk about the bail reform that they recently passed in New York State. And the reason why I bring this up is because no one who was pushing for any type of changes to bail, cash bail, was expecting that violent offenders would somehow be able to take advantage of loopholes and get out as well. Most of us were looking at cases like, I believe the gentleman's name is Khalif Browder, allegedly was accused of allegedly taking a backpack and spent so much time in Rikers that he wound up, I believe, committing suicide. And it's a backpack. We're talking about cases like that. And the fact that when the legislature in New York and whoever wrote and passed this law had a chance to make real change, that they didn't foresee or put provisions in there that would stop the more violent offenders from taking advantage of these new laws. And then it's where the crime is taking place. New York has always been a place where you had to watch yourself. You get caught slipping, and you might get robbed or worse. But now these things are happening in Times Square, 34th Street, like near Penn Station, in places where there's usually a lot of police presence. And there's just a lot of people, so most criminals, they want to go to an area where it might take the police longer to get to, or police won't come at all, whatever. Seen another incident where a bunch of women in like head to toe like green neon suits, beat up these two girls and robbed them. Recently, just a few days ago, someone was shot and killed, on a train. And people know I go out there a lot with working with the billboards or whatever. And I even told my wife, I was like, yo, it's only one stop. I just walk. It's just safer just to walk unless it's raining really hard. I just walk. I think it's 8-9 blocks. I just walk. And they the 8-9 short blocks, not the long blocks, y'all, not the long way, the short way. Them long blocks, boy, they hell. But it's the short city blocks, all right? So, but, I just walk, man. It's just safer. I just feel like you on a train and something going, you in that car until, the train stopped, the next stop or whatever. And anything could go down in that time, man. It's It's just gotten wild, but not really about my personal things. I just really want to go back to this bail reform because, and then like Governor Hochul sees that it's becoming a problem, and it's becoming a problem where people on the right can now say, look how weak they are on crime. Like, they're making our streets less safe. But because Democrats in New York don't want to say that they were wrong in some ways and revise the law, they'll just take it on a case-by-case basis. So when somebody that should have been still in jail gets out and does it again, then someone will step in and make sure that they don't get bail. But by that time, someone has either been robbed, raped, killed again, and it's that term, too little, too late. Like, it's too late now to call a special session in, but if she wins, that's got to be the first thing on her agenda. Call the legislature in, revise this law, make it for common sense. Like, this law was meant for turnstile jumpers, not for people who commit aggravated assault. And the fact that it's gone on this long and we've seen so many bad people take advantage of it and it still hasn't been addressed is wrong. So as much as myself and a lot of progressives were for and are for bail reform, we don't like it in its current form. And for New York Democrats and New York progressives to allow it to stay this way is wrong. A lot of things that New York City does affects the rest of the country, and they really need to get on top of this, get this back under control. And to me, you ask me, it's a very, very easy fix. I know the Republicans are going to ask for more than you want to give up, and that's what politics are about. You know, you had your chance to write the law, push the law, and not push it, but frame it, and of course, as always, you go too liberal. Herschel Walker. Now, y'all know how I feel about dude. I've said it before. He's probably one of the first football players like that I kind of liked. Like I like watching. He played for Georgia. They were very good when he played there. They were always in like the New Year Eve bowls and things. I'd be watching with my uncles and stuff. And yeah, number 34, man, and that was it. That red and silver, red and gray, whatever, for the Georgia Bulldogs, man, he did damage. He went on to play for the New Jersey Generals of the USFL, and then later played for the Cowboys, and then he was part of that big trade with the Minnesota Vikings that pretty much built the Dallas Cowboy dynasty. But now, today, in 2022, he is a candidate for a U.S. Senator seat in the state of Georgia, and his opponent is Reverend Raphael Warnock. Now, that's the basics. What makes me bring up Herschel Walker, like I talk about so many others, is hypocrisy. That's it. Have you a code and stand by it. And if there's like exceptions, be able to really explain those exceptions. But to be for something, like really strongly for something, and then get caught basically doing those things that you're so much against. Nah, that's different. That's a different, and that's what we have to call out. So, Herschel Walker is running on a pro-life campaign. All right, like pro-life under any circumstances, like no exceptions, nothing. All right, and now it's found that he paid $700 for a woman that he had another child with to have an abortion. She has the get well card. She has the receipts. She has text messages. Everything that supports what she said that he originally denied and then had to backtrack because he originally said he didn't even know the woman. Then when he realized it was the mother of one of his children and she had all these things, he went back to the, I'm not perfect. People, the Democrats are just attacking him. They just don't want him to be great. They just don't like him personally. They are attacking him because he's friends with Donald Trump. And look, man, Herschel Walker makes it very easy to attack him. He's a pathological liar. So much that they're running like spoof stories saying that he categorically denies that he even played football. Like, that's how hard they are messing with this guy because of his willingness to lie. And lie and lie and lie and lie. And then when he gets caught, then it's, let me get defensive now and attack the person that's asking the question. His son came out just talking about how bad a person he is, bad a person he has been. Sometimes your kids and stuff, they have different beefs or whatever, but according to most reports, his kid is a conservative, and most conservatives are like, we don't care, we need Walker at office. And if people in his own family, once again, who are conservatives, are like, nah, you might not want this dude, I think that we should at least take that into consideration. He shouldn't be like the mayor of the smallest, most, like the farthest town from anything. Like, it could be 4 people there, and he's not qualified to be the mayor of a town like that. So what makes you think that he qualifies to be one of 100 people in this country with a vote in the U.S. Senate? He's simply not. And for Republicans to make him their candidate, for Georgia Republicans to make him their candidate because Donald Trump told you to, is irresponsible. Run your candidate, run on your views or whatever. But no, everything now is find candidates that align with Trump, who say the election was stolen, and run with them because Trump will campaign for them and they'll win. Maybe, or maybe Trump will bring out a bigger response from the left, and then your plan backfires. So we'll see how that goes down. We'll see how that goes down in Georgia. But once again, man, Herschel Walker is bad, and bad news for Republicans and for the country. And the fact that the fact that they're so scared of Trump that they would run they would nominate and run a candidate like Herschel Walker is crazy. And speaking of Trump, Trump took his antics to an all-time low when he went on to attack the minority leader, Senator Mitch McConnell. And I quote, Mitch McConnell is killing the Republican Party through weakness and cowardice. He obviously has a political death wish for himself and the Republican Party. And then he also attacked his wife. He said something in regards to him and his China-loving wife and all of this. And I want to ask this, man, about Republican men. Why do y'all allow this guy to attack y'all wives with, like, no recourse? No, you don't come out and say anything. You don't, approach him when you see him. Nothing. I'm talking about you, Ted Cruz, Rubio, and now McConnell. Damn, y'all. Like, damn. And I guess this will go into the subject that we'll close the show with, is those RNC and DNC leaks. Emails were leaked right before, I believe it was the 2016 election. And emails were hacked. Both the RNC and the DNC was hacked. A lot of emails from the DNC came out, obviously, to try to embarrass the party and different things like that. But at the same time, none of the things really came out about the RNC. And here is my theory. And everyone wants to know why so many Republicans have sold their soul. Like, why have so many Republicans just go along with Donald Trump no matter what? And I believe it's the information that was found in those emails. And I believe the Trump organization are using those for blackmail. And it's scary because that means that only a few people on the right haven't done anything that would make them so like, I guess, subservient to one man because of information he or his organization may know. So that's a little scary. But that is definitely my theory when it comes to why so many Republicans have just become Trumpers. All in, whatever Trump says, that's how I roll. And I just think that him and his team and the Russian hackers they were working with found all the information they needed. They knew who they needed to control. Like, that's why, Kevin McCarthy, they knew they needed Kevin McCarthy because they knew they needed the Speaker of the House. He knew he wasn't going to never really get McConnell to, like, totally, like, join in, but McConnell has already benefited greatly from the work of Trump anyway. So whether they like each other or not, Trump not strong enough to get McConnell out of office or even control McConnell. McConnell, controls, the Republicans in the Senate for the most part. And whether he's the majority or minority leader, I don't know how much a Donald Trump threat would be able to really change that, man. I did talk about Kanye a little bit, and this is all I want to say. It's a shame when somebody who has so much believes that everything else and so much more he is deserving of, and if he doesn't get it, it's because of a conspiracy against him. Like, everything is for him, and if he doesn't get it, then he was wrong. And I bring this up to bring out the way that he speaks and spoke about Virgil from Louis Vuitton. It's one thing to say, while this man was living, I think my designs were better, and I think they didn't choose me because of they wouldn't know how to handle me, and Virgil's a lot more of the business type, more quiet, and a lot easier to work with. And you say, well, Scott, that's the way you talk. That's not the way he talks or whatever. But when Virgil passed, all I saw was like this outpouring of love from everybody. People putting him in his song, putting the man's name in his songs and everything. And then to see Kanye come out and just trash this man, and was trashing him like while he was here, like whether it was about him having cancer or whatever. And I don't know what that had to do with the position in question at Louis Vuitton anyway. And that's, but I bring it up just to talk about like how like petty, how cruddy, like you can want something so bad that it might take you out of your character when you don't get it. But his position, it just always feels like everything is for him. Everything is for him. And when it don't happen, nah, man, y'all don't see my vision, whatever. Man, that Gap rollout was trash. And I'm not talking about it being in trash bags. Who want to dig through bags looking for their size and all that? Nah, man, get the fuck out of here with that. And then the clothes are ugly. They are ugly. He's got a couple of dope, had a couple of dope designs with the Yeezys and stuff or whatever. And regardless if I like the designs, they sell out every time you do a drop, no matter how ugly, whatever. But the designs are ugly. And if that's what you want to do, that should be under your name. And stop trying to get these already established brands to co-sign that trash. And I'm not defending Gap or Adidas or whatever. I'm just saying. You told Sway he ain't have all the answers when he told you, yo, why don't you just be about Yeezy? Forget about Nike. Forget about Adidas. Forget about Louis V. You don't have all the answers, Sway, was what you said. Now you reaching. And people like all upset about the White Lives Matter shirt. I'm like, why, y'all? Why? He needs to sell clothes. He needs to sell a lot of them. He needs to sell shoes. He needs to sell a lot of them. He also has biracial kids. So I'm not like that shirt was cool, but him wearing it just doesn't bother me. Nothing he does bothers me anymore. He's just a sick man, and need help is too light. He needs a reckoning, man, and until he does, he's gonna have more antics, and because of that, he's likely gonna sell more shoes and more clothes to the people that dig it. And for those that don't, instead of talking about how much you hate them or whatever, just ignore them, like the rest of us try to do. All right, man, that is my time. Appreciate y'all hanging out, man. Please, subscribe, like the episode, share on your social media, and please share these messages with your friends. Election day is Tuesday, November 8th. Key battleground states of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Ohio already, well, except for Georgia. So Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Ohio already have early voting going down. My people, if you can vote early or vote by mail, please do so. that the obstruction and the suppression machine is out in full force, and you just don't want to have to deal with the nonsense if you don't have to. So go ahead, vote, and vote early. All right. Don't forget to check out the other great podcasts on this great network, Ian Friends, Life and Love, the Black Male Podcast, as well as the Encourage and Inspire Podcast. This is the Got What You Need Network. This is Politicked. I am your host, Sky, and I'm out. Peace.